Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to keep looking at Magic 2015. We're going to move on and look at Flames of the Dragon, which is a red and blue deck. So let's, we always get a red and blue deck in a core set, it seems. Actually, thinking back to it, I think every core set we've had, going back to M10, we've had a red-blue deck, so it's kind of a tradition at this point, and it's going to carry on into Origins as well. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, I guess it's just good to introduce new players, isn't it? This kind of concept that the enemy colors, you can make a deck out of them as well. I don't know, rambling a bit there, but anyway, we got the deck list here. So we've got 24 creatures, 6 artifacts, which is quite a lot for a core set, and we'll see that's kind of the theme of the deck. 1 instant, 2 sorceries, 2 enchantments, and 25 land, and with mana curve off to the side there. Interestingly, some things at 0, nothing at 1, and then it jumps up there to 2 and 3. So kind of an interesting mana curve in this deck. So the foil face rare, and which really doesn't have much to do with the theme of the deck. I suppose the deck's name is it references dragons, so it's actually nice that the 2 rares in this deck are dragons. So the foil face rare is Siege Dragon, so 5 and double red for a 5/5 with flyer. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all walls your opponents control. So if someone's playing a wall deck for some reason, wall tribal, this is just the big middle finger to them. And then whenever it attacks, if the defending player controls no walls, which is obviously quite likely because no one really plays walls anymore. You don't really get defender, you don't really get walls anymore. You just get other creatures with defender in some other way. But it does 2 damage to each creature without flying that player controls. So this I think is quite nice. So 7 mana for a 5/5 flyer, which is okay. Very niche ETB effect to destroy everything. But also it's got this other thing. It's doing a one-sided sort of pyroclasm to your opponent's board. Whenever it attacks, and if they don't control an incredibly niche creature type. So this is I think quite fun. It can just keep swinging. Obviously it's 5 power as well, so that's fairly significant, and it can just keep burning out small creatures on the ground. So yeah, I think this is kind of okay. I think it's all right. I think Hoarding Dragons is a lot more interesting than those. This is the other rare. So 3 and double red for a 4/4 flyer. So like immediately that's air elemental stats, which is fine. And when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card, exile it, and then shuffle your library. When Hoarding Dragon dies, you may put the exiled card into owner's hand. So this is kind of it's a very roundabout way of getting a tutor, I suppose. I suppose you could look at this as it's just a 5/5 flyer. A 5/5 flyer, a 4/4 flyer for 5 mana in red, which red typically doesn't get. And you could view as additional cost to cast it, you just have to exile an artifact card from your library or something. Maybe you could just view it that way. There is also the risk if this gets bounced in some way, you are going to permanently lose the artifact card you exiled. But yeah, I think this is okay. I think most of the time it's really just going to serve as a 4/4 flyer, but it has this nice extra thing. If it is killed, you're going to get the thing you searched up straight into hand. And there's a few okay artifacts in this deck that you can search up, like nothing amazing, but just generally just some fairly solid bits of equipment and whatever. But yeah, this is okay. I mean, it's just another big flyer, right? So that's perfectly fine. But talking about artifacts now, we go into the sort of the theme of the deck, which is red-blue artifacts, which is interesting as a theme because all the red-blue decks we've had in core sets up to now have mostly been the kind of the standard like red-blue spells matter, like just bounce and burn and some flyers, that kind of thing, and like evasive creatures. So it's really interesting they've chosen that to double down on. And like when we go into Magic Origins, that is the red-blue deck. It's just all about artifacts. So this feels like kind of a prototype for what we're going to get in a couple of sets' time. So we have 3 Scrapyard Mongrels, so 3 in red for a 3/3, so Hill Giant stats. As long as you control an artifact, it gets +2/+0 and has trample. Not a super difficult situation to, requirement to hit in this deck. Completely forgot my words for a second there. Requirement to hit in this deck. So you do have like a few artifacts in the deck. I mean, honestly, this just being a 3/3 for 4 mana at common is like fine. And if you do get the artifact, then it's like a pretty nice, a nice boost, I think. So yeah, I think this is okay, and it's really nice actually. There's 3 of them. It going up to a 5/3 with trample is makes it genuinely quite threatening, I think. And we've got 3 Aeronaut Tinkerers, so 2 in a blue for a 2/3. Has flying as long as you control an artifact. Again, this is fine. Even if if you don't have an artifact, again, it's fine. It's just a 2/3 for 3. Obviously not amazing, but like at least it's functional. It's not kind of terribly overcosted. Obviously much better if you do have the artifact out, and then it's, well, even then it's just like a Windrake with 1 extra toughness, isn't it? But you know, it's fine. It's fine. So then we have some artifact creatures to help you hit that requirement. So we've got 3 Bronze Sables, just 2 mana for a 2/1. Yep, yep, just about as simple as it could be, I suppose. Yeah, this is just, yeah, well, it is what it is, isn't it? And then 2 Juggernauts. I think, is this the first time Juggernaut has shown up in one of these videos? I mean, it is a classic card. I'm just wondering if it's ever shown up in a core set review, maybe. Anyway, Juggernaut is, because yeah, this is a card that was in like alpha and stuff, like, you know, in the really early days of the game. And I think it sort of shows actually. So 4 mana for 5/3, it has to attack every turn if able, and it can't be blocked by walls, which is like, man, like this deck doesn't like walls at all, you know. So I'm just not impressed by Juggernaut. I think like its age kind of shows, because you know it's. I don't know. This is me being greedy, obviously, but like, you know, I feel like this card got designed these days. It would, you know, have trample or something, or menace in some way. It'd have some sort of like evasion or combat relevant ability. As is, it just attacks every turn available. It's okay, I suppose, at 5 power and 3 toughness. It's all right for 4 mana, I suppose. Yeah, it's okay, and again, such a niche ability that it can't be blocked by walls. Yeah, it's okay, but and it's, you know, it's a nice, obviously nostalgic nod, yeah, with new art and stuff. But man, I just really wish it was just a new, better card, honestly. But yeah, it's okay in here, obviously. And then another classic artifact creature, but this is a good one, Ornithopter. Yep, just 0 mana, 0/2 flyer. Yeah, perfect. Just absolutely perfect little creature to have in here, to, you know, switch on the Artifact Matters card. So yeah, you actually got what, like 6 artifact creatures? No, 7 7 artifact creatures. That's okay. That's okay, I think, to turn on the Mongrel and the Aeronaut. So yeah, that's okay. You know, definitely an oddity in one of these core set decks to have like quite a high number of artifact creatures. Normally they're just kind of thrown in just to fill space, honestly, or just to show them off to new players. Like, oh hey, these are colorless cards, whatever. But that's kind of where the artifact theme ends now for creatures, so just moving on to kind of the rest of it, honestly. So you've got 2 Glacial Crashers, 4 and double blue for a 5/5 for Trample, which is not a stat line you'd expect to see in blue. It has a very, very minor drawback. It can't attack unless there is a mountain on the battlefield. By the time you're getting to 6 mana to cast this, you're almost certainly, I think, going to have at least 1 mountain out, so it's such a tiny, insignificant drawback in this deck, honestly, and it's just a 5/5 beta. So you've actually got like quite a bit of muscle in this deck, I think. You know, with this, you got the dragons, you got yeah, the scrapyard mongrels can get pretty big. You got the juggernauts, so yeah, it's actually quite a lot of muscle in this deck. 2 Welkin turns, 1 the blue for a 2/1 flyer. It has high flying, so it can block other creatures flying. Yeah, just a good early evasive creature. 2 Wall of Frosts. This is a also classic core set card here. Just really nice, big, chunky wall to stall out the ground. 1 double blue, 0/7 defender. Your dragon doesn't care about your own walls, so you don't destroy your own walls, so that's good. Whenever Wall of Frost blocks a creature, and the creature doesn't untap during control's next untap step, yeah, it's fine. It's just a big old blocker, isn't it? And then we've got 2 Krenko's Enforcer, 1 and double red for a 2/2 with Intimidate. Yeah, again, just a fairly bog standard evasive creature. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I think it's okay. And then a single Rummaging Goblin, 2 and a red for a 1/1, where you just tap to discard a card and draw a card. Yeah, again, fine in this deck, I think. You know, just, you know, start getting rid of the cards that, you know, don't matter to find the ones that do. I suppose it's okay. It's okay. I'm not crazy on like rummaging effects, honestly. And I know this, they'll eventually start getting phased out as red gets its more like impulse draw in later sets. But you know, it's fine for now. Right, this is actually a really tasty inclusion in Soul Artifact. So one, the blue aura goes on an artifact. So it can be an artifact creature, it can be one of the other non-creature artifacts we'll see in a bit. Enchanted Artifact is a creature with base power and toughness 5/5 in addition to its other types. So yeah, you could whack this. I mean, like what a really nice turn 2 play is turn 1 Ornithopter, turn 2 in Soul Artifact. You got a 5/5 flyer straight away. How like that's a really strong play early on. So yeah, this is a really great inclusion in this deck, honestly. Asking for 3 would have been greedy because it is an uncommon. Normally, you only have like at most 2 of those in a deck. But yeah, this is a really fantastic inclusion. There is another card later on in the deck. We'll look at it towards the end, which goes fantastically with this. So we'll see that in a bit. But yeah, this is a great card to include, and really demonstrate that in set blue and red were really about again, this is sort of just before draft archetypes were sort of like a thing. But yeah, this is obviously definitely pushing. Like if you were playing limited, you'd probably want a bunch of artifacts and hope for Ensoul artifacts to get a big, really huge creature potentially down on turn 2. We've got a single Shrapnel Blast. This is a great reprint from original Mirrodin. So 1 red, instant speed, sacrifice an artifact, and does 5 damage to any target. Really, really solid, like 2 mana at instant speed for 5 damage, and sacrifice an artifact. Like this is like you don't mind pitching, the Bronze Sable or an Ornithopter to this to do 5 damage. Such a some really, really big swings in this deck, honestly. You got, the Ensoul Artifacts, which is, 10 something to a 5/5. Shrapnel Blast is 5 damage. I said you've already got the dragons. So yeah, some really, really big swings in this deck, honestly. And then 2 Lava Axes. This is still a big swing. It's a more conventional big swing, I suppose, because it's expensive. Just 4 and a red to do 5 damage to target player at sorcery speed. It's okay. We've seen it 100 times before. It's fine. And then we have a few more artifacts, which is nice. So a single Brawler's Plate, so 3 mana equipment that gives the equipped creature +2/+2 and trample, which is okay because you've got some big creatures in here who don't have trample. So Juggernaut would appreciate this, and I was going to say the Scrapyard Mongrel, but that already gets trample. I guess any of the dragons, I suppose, they'd also like to get trample. Is just unfortunately quite expensive. Like equip cost, equip 4 is a little pricey, but like +2/+2 and trample is fine. It's like a core set equipment. It's always going to be like a little bit mediocre, honestly. A single Rogue's Gloves, so 2 mana equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Equip 2. Again, this is like perfectly fine effect. Turn a creature into a Thieving Magpie or a Stealer of Secrets. Just get some extra card draw potentially. Goes obviously nicely with the Brawler's Plate. Because gives trample, so it's going to get through. Or say you got like evasive creatures like the Welkin Turn or the or Krenko's Enforcer, so then get through and deal some damage and draw some cards, and yeah, it's fine. Because you don't actually have a lot of card draw in this deck at all, really, which is which feels weird it being blue-red. You got the Rummaging Goblin. That's technically not card draw. That's just like card selection, card filtering, really. And then a single Sacred Armory, 2 mana artifact. You can pay 2 to target creature +1/+0 to turn. So I think it's just a fine little mana sink just to have, just sitting there. You've got just 2 mana, and that +1/+0. A lot of the time, that's going to matter. That's going to tip a combat. So yeah, I think that's a fine inclusion to have. Then we have a Tyrant's Machine. This is, we have Icy Manipulator at home. So 2 mana artifact. You can pay 4 and tap it to tap target creature. So crazy expensive, for such a small effect. But as we've sort of seen in sort of sets before this is kind of the time in the game where these tap down effects are becoming either less common or more expensive. We are past the days of like Icy Manipulator tapping something down for like 1 mana and like stalling out a game and making things go on a long time. So it is like definitely, I think, this shift in game design and stuff, which is I think it's fine because it stops the game going on forever, stops someone like stalling out and stuff. But yeah, it's obviously still not a great card. Like 4 mana is you're almost certainly going to find something better to spend 4 mana on than this. But again, if it gets a blocker out of the way or stops something attacking, or it's fine. It's fine. And then we have the 2 Staff the Flame Magus and Staff the Mind Magus. So these both gain you life whenever you cast either a red or a blue spell, or a mountain or an island enters the battlefield under control. So it's a bit of life gain, which is okay, because I'd say like I mean, like, you have got some cheap spells in here, but you're still kind of dirtling a bit to kind of get artifacts out and get things kind of running. So a bit of life gain is going to go okay. And obviously these are artifacts that can come out and switch on your things that care about artifacts, and these are okay. And like you can pitch them to Shrapnel Blast. So these are all okay. Like, it's not like M14 where these being in every deck just like did not matter and just was filling space. Here they fulfill a purpose, which is, yeah, I say artifact synergies. So they're okay here, but could still be something better. And then this is the spicy card that I said was going to go super well with Soul Artifact, is Darksteel Citadel. So crazily, unexpectedly good reprint in M15. Darksteel Citadel, it's an artifact land and it has indestructible. And just it only gives you colorless, but who cares? You put in Soul Artifact on this, and then you got a 5/5 indestructible, which is absolutely fine. Would have been nice, I think, to actually have two of these instead, just to make it maybe work a bit more, but yeah, I think that's a super good reprint to have in here to work within Soul Artifact. Yeah, really good. And yeah, if you get that working, oh my god, like again, like that is a strong play. Just swinging with a 5/5 indestructible really early on, potentially. Yeah. And then 12 islands and 12 mountains. So overall, I do think it's actually put together like pretty well, this deck. So I actually struggled a little bit to think on what could have been on this, but I gave it a go as I normally do. So let's maybe talk about alternate res first. So I thought Goblin Kaboomist could be an option here. So it is one of these guest star designed cards. So 1 red for a 1/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you make a colorless artifact token called Landmine on the battlefield with 1 red, sacrifice the artifact. This artifact does 2 damage to target attack and flying. I just suggest this because like it's something that keeps making artifact tokens, which like obviously you've got cards that care about. The thing is like, and it does it automatically, but the thing is every time well, it's not every time a landmine comes out, technically. It's just at the beginning of the upkeep. You flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Goblin Kaboomist does 2 damage to itself. So, you're guaranteed 1, and you've got a 50% chance it might die. But, if you find a way to increase its toughness, then it's fine. Then you're just churning out 1 every turn. Then you've got like these kind of, then they're just lying there to ward off attackers on the ground. So that was a possibility. The other possibility I thought was Chief Engineer. So 1 the blue for a 1/3. Artifact spells you cast have Convoke. So Convoke was kind of like the returning mechanic for M15. It was in every color, which is really interesting. Actually, no, I lie. Technically, it's not in every color. It's not in blue because Chief Engineer itself does not have Convoke. It just gives other things Convoke, and I don't think there was another blue card that had Convoke, but it was in the 4 other colors, which is really interesting actually to see like black and red cards with Convoke, which is really interesting. And the last deck we're going to look at has Convoke as like its main theme. But yeah, this could have been interesting to give all your artifact spells Convoke, so you can get them down cheaper and quicker, and yeah, could have been a possible, I suppose. But I still think the 2 dragons are actually just much better, honestly, than these. So I really struggled to think of some alternate cards here. And then as a another artifact that could be included, Meteorite. So it is kind of expensive at 5 mana. When it ends the battlefield, it does 2 damage to a creature or player, so it's kind of shock. And then it's like a mana rock after that. So I find this like honestly a little bit underwhelming, just because it is quite expensive for what is essentially a mana rock. Yeah, I suppose it is does serve as like removal as well. But again, really struggled to find something extra to add in this deck because overall I thought it was actually pretty well put together. And I say the Ensoul artifact and like so many good targets for it, I think really make it. And like you got some big dragons, so some really big heavy hitters in this deck, honestly, and it plays I think very differently to the other like blue-red decks that we've had in previous core sets, which makes it stand out, makes it a bit more interesting. But as I say, when we go into Magic Origins, which is the sort of next/last core set for a while, the red-blue artifacts gets done like really like properly in that one. Like it is absolutely the theme there. So yeah, overall I thought this one was pretty good. So I'd love to hear what other people think about this one. If you have any stories or comments or thoughts or opinions about the deck or any of the cards in the deck, stick a comment below. Give those a read. Always like doing that. But I'll be back next time. I'm going to look at the last Magic 2015 core set intro deck. So until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.